Stick with me. On the dreary drive to finalize my divorce, I unlocked a superpower. I could literally hear my wife's innermost thoughts. My totally cold, emotionally distant ice queen of a wife sat right beside me, glaring at me with a surface-level expression of pure, absolute, unadulterated disgust. But inside her head, a completely different, wildly dramatic voice was screaming at the top of its lungs. "Hubby, no, I absolutely do not want a divorce. What if I fake a medical emergency right now? If I say my tummy hurts, will it actually work? Hubby, please do not leave me, a stunningly gorgeous girl with flawless fair-skinned legs for days and a face card that never ever declines like me. If someone else picks me up off the streets, they are absolutely positively never ever returning me to you." Finders keepers, hearing this chaotic broadcast, I completely froze up right there in the driver's seat. Wait a minute, did I just hear something totally confused? I cautiously peeked at the rearview mirror only to see my wife sitting in the passenger seat. She was staring out the window, her beautiful face as cold and unreadable as a marble statue. Okay, maybe it was all just a bizarre auditory hallucination, just my own mind playing tricks on me. Tentatively testing the waters, I quietly asked if we go through with this divorce. "It will not have a massive impact on your life, right?" Hearing those words, Chloe did not even blink once. She replied with a chilling tone that could freeze lava. "It will not have any major impact. However, people in our elite social circle have a tacit, unspoken rule: no divorce, only widows." Meanwhile, inside her head, "I just want my hubby cuddles and sweet forehead kisses. Now pay attention here." Hearing that voice again, I hesitated and stole another sideways glance at the passenger seat. Chloe was still wearing her exquisite, frosty little face, not a single muscle twitching out of place. Right. This definitely was not an auditory hallucination anymore. The crazy reality was, I could actually telepathically eavesdrop on my wife's inner voice. I was certain her pretty little mouth had not moved a single millimeter just now. As if sensing my intense stare, Chloe suddenly turned her head to meet my gaze perfectly. "I'm feeling a bit under the weather today. Can we postpone the divorce paperwork until next time?" Internally, she was throwing a massive parade. "Chloe, you are so brave. You finally managed to say it out loud. Hubby, please, I am begging you. Say yes. Let us go home and cancel. I can throw tantrums, act cute, be a domineering boss babe, or even a sweet, clingy baby girl. You want black tights, white, knee-highs, fishnets? Tell me your aesthetic, hubby. What flavor do you actually like? I can adapt. I can do it all." At this exact moment, I just felt a massive headache brewing behind my eyes. It was way too loud, but I was absolutely undeniably certain this was Chloe's true inner voice. After a long moment of hesitation, I sighed deeply and spoke up. "All right, let us just head back home today." Hearing this absolute victory, I could see her eyes light up like literal fireworks, but she immediately reined it in. She tightened her delicate facial muscles, faking a highly reserved, aristocratic nod. "All right, whatever you say. We will head back." On the entire drive back home, Chloe finally breathed a massive sigh of relief in her heart. Not only was she happily humming upbeat pop tunes in her head, but she also kept chanting "Hubby, hubby, hubby" on an endless, looping mental playlist. Let that sink in for a second. After 2 years, the realization finally hit me like a truck. I did not understand my own wife at all. Wait a minute. What happened to the high and mighty untouchable goddess, Professor? Who on earth is this clingy, whiny, extremely thirsty little chatterbox? Truth be told, Chloe and I had what you call a flash marriage. We agreed to casually cultivate our romantic feelings after tying the knot, but reality hit hard. We were both drowning in our respective careers, and Chloe's personality was just way too frosty to approach. Rather than a married couple in love, our dynamic felt more like two polite roommates splitting the rent. After all, we had been sleeping in separate, detached bedrooms this whole time. Upon arriving home, we entered the house one after the other, maintaining our usual awkward distance. "I am not feeling well, so I am going to my room to rest," she stated blankly. But as she gracefully turned to head upstairs, the chaotic mental broadcast resumed at maximum volume. "I need to rush online right now and Google how to coax your husband 101. Oh right, my tactical gear. I need to dig out my thigh-high stockings. I do not even know what specific type hubby is into. How can I casually strut in front of him wearing them without looking desperate? This is so annoying. Why on earth does hubby like those aloof, arrogant ice cube girls? He can obsess over an ice block, but he will not simp for me. Just look at me. You and I both know that is crazy. Who said I like ice cube girls? That is pure, unadulterated slander against my character. Let's dive right in because this hilarious contrast made me totally fascinated with Chloe. More importantly, her inner voice absolutely did not sound like a wife wanting a divorce. It honestly felt like a galaxy-sized misunderstanding was wedged right between the two of us. Sadly, Chloe never stepped out of her room all afternoon. I guess the physical distance between our rooms was just too vast. So my telepathic Wi-Fi connection completely dropped and I could not hear a single thought. I had a client dinner scheduled that evening, so I walked over, politely knocked to let her know, and got ready to leave. A chilly and brief got it echoed from inside. Exactly as expected, her inner self started sobbing instantly. My hubby has not eaten a single meal with me in ages. He is always out doing business, but this is his career. He definitely prefers an obedient, highly sensible, and independent wife. It is totally because I am not sensible enough that he wants a divorce, right? Ugh, crying makes me look puffy. I need an ice pack soon. Wait, why was she literally sobbing over a dinner appointment? Honestly, my own emotions were a completely tangled, chaotic mess. My entire mental image of Chloe was this high and mighty professor who looked down on everyone. Never in a million years did I imagine she was actually a needy, clingy crybaby desperate for attention. After crushing the client negotiation and completely securing the bag, I actually headed home way earlier than planned. Now pay close attention to this part. Fresh out of the shower, I lay on my bed, brain buzzing with these bizarre events. The main question was, are we still getting divorced? My personality has always been super decisive. I am absolutely not one to drag things out. Before finalizing a massive decision like divorce, I needed to sit Chloe down, talk, and figure out what was happening in that chaotic head of hers. Right as I was deep in thought, a super soft knock echoed at my door. Snapping back to reality, I sat up. "Come in." I looked up to see Chloe standing incredibly awkwardly at the doorframe. She clearly just finished showering. Her long, damp hair cascaded beautifully right down her back. Her usually sharp, intimidating eyes were cast down, giving her a surprisingly delicate and super vulnerable vibe. "Do you need something?" I awkwardly looked away, mostly because I was still mentally recovering from her wildly unhinged inner monologue this morning. Middle of the night. A guy and a beautiful girl alone in a bedroom. It was super hard not to let my mind wander. My chest still feels a little tight and uncomfortable. "Can you check it for me?" Her usual cold tone was gone, replaced by what sounded exactly like pure, genuine shyness. You know what happens next? The mental screaming, "Hubby, please do not reject me. I will literally cry a river right here." I spent all night preparing for this. I gave myself a 3-hour pep talk in the mirror, but I am no medical professional. "If it is that bad, I can drive you to the hospital right now," I said, fully ready to grab my keys. But a soft, delicate hand shot out and firmly pressed down on my shoulder. "No need. I know what is wrong. It is just, what is it?" Hubby, do not look at me with those intense eyes. The metaphorical deer in my heart is not just bumping around. It is doing extreme parkour, crashed into a wall, and is completely knocked out from a concussion. I am so nervous. He is so handsome, so swoon-worthy. Maybe the thoughts echoing in my head were too chaotic, or she was just vibrating with anxiety. Either way, I clearly heard her accidentally blurt out the forbidden word. "Hubby." She completely froze, then quickly continued. "My chest feels tight. Can you massage it for me?" In that exact moment, the room became deafeningly, awkwardly silent. I swear I could literally hear a pin drop. Even her hyperactive inner voice flatlined from pure shock. The air in the room instantly froze into solid ice. A second later, I looked at the gorgeous girl standing there. Her face flushed, beet-red lips pressed so tight they turned white. She refused to speak. Left with absolutely no choice, I took the initiative to finally break the awkward tension. "Your chest is tight." "No, it is not." Chloe was mentally weeping huge buckets of regret, wanting to punish herself for that wildly reckless mouth of hers. How on earth did she accidentally say her unfiltered thoughts out loud? That was absolutely not the script she rehearsed. That is where we leave it. I just stared, waiting patiently for her to come up with some wildly convoluted excuse or explanation. Stick with me, because logic is about to vanish. She suddenly grabbed my hand, pressing it right against her heart while gently biting her lower lip. She nervously insisted that yes, her chest was actually feeling incredibly tight. She thought a massage would fix it. Fortune favors the bold, right? Since she already messed up her words, she figured she might as well bravely make her move. She hyped herself up. "You can do this, Chloe." Meanwhile, my own hand, literally pinned against her beating heart, gave a completely involuntary twitch. I swear on my ancestors and my entire bank account, it was just a pure biological reflex. I really did not mean to be weird, but honestly, do not judge me here. It felt soft. Right after my completely accidental squeeze, Chloe seemed to turn a bright strawberry pink across absolutely every single inch of her exposed skin. I stammered, remembering we had specific pills in the cabinet for a tight chest. I awkwardly attempted to stand up, my entire posture looking completely stiff and unnatural. But Chloe was way too far gone now. She was not about to give up and accept defeat after seeing me try to escape. Her first instinct was pushing me right back down. However, she seriously misjudged her own upper body strength in that moment. Now pay attention, because this is where it gets totally wild. Gravity took over, sending her tumbling onto the mattress and dragging me down, too, falling. Chloe grabbed something solid. Wait, does my husband have abs? I have done good deeds forever. I am not greedy or a criminal. So what is wrong with being slightly thirsty for my totally legal husband right now? Why not take this perfect chance to cop a feel that is not asking too much? Hearing that, my completely stunned eyes finally rolled back into focus. Hearing her shameless and wildly thirsty inner thoughts made my own face burn. I reached out swiftly, catching her little gremlin hand sneaking toward my stomach. I nervously suggested that she should probably get up first. She was totally crushing my lungs. Sure enough, Chloe was only a savage, absolutely fearless beast when she was safely inside her own mind. The second I spoke, she frantically scrambled away, her limbs flailing to push off the bed while stuttering rapid apologies. Thinking back on the absolute chaos of those 5 minutes, Chloe felt her body turn to jelly. Watching her desperately struggle for balance, I reached out to give her a hand. I just meant to grab her shoulder. But thanks to the awkward angle and our tangled limbs, my hands somehow ended up firmly wrapped right around her waist instead. Chloe, who was almost fully standing, went completely stiff the exact second my hands touched her waist. 1 second later, she melted like a boneless puddle, collapsing right back onto me. I was dumbfounded. My hands were still gripping her waist. How could a fully grown woman suddenly go completely boneless and flop onto me like a wet noodle? I told her that doing things like this made it really hard not to think she was doing it on purpose. My voice sounded so deeply helpless. She stammered that her waist could not be touched. It was just way too hypersensitive. You and I both know that feeling when things click. Right after getting our marriage license, we bumped into some mutual friends while out eating. Playing the role of the perfect loving husband, I had casually wrapped my arm around her waist. The immediate result. She instantly turned as rigid as wood. Her polite smile totally vanished, replaced by a weird, almost glaring look. Naturally, I noticed absolutely every bit of this. Back then, I thought I had severely crossed her boundaries, so I quickly yanked my hand away in silent apology. I accidentally grazed her waist a few other times, and her reaction stayed the exact same. Complete instant stiffness and a sudden dark shift in her expression. Slowly, over 2 whole years, I started to firmly believe she just absolutely hated my physical touch. Everyone has unique preferences. Take me, for example. I happen to have a massive weakness for girls with slender waistlines. But looking at this exact situation, it was clearly just one giant, monumental, hilarious misunderstanding. What was I supposed to do? Knowing her waist was just insanely ticklish only made me more excited. Fine, maybe I actually was the pervert here. 2.5 minutes later, we sat rigidly face to face on the living room sofa. She stared with her signature cold academic expression, even though that furious bright blush on her face had not faded away. It really looked like she was waiting for me to speak first and lead things. But her inner voice was throwing a massive tantrum. Talk about what exactly, unless it was about falling in love? I do not want to talk to hubby. The last time he said we needed to talk, it was about signing divorce papers. She totally rejected this chat. I obviously wasn't here for romance right now, even though seeing my wife look this incredible was distracting. So what do you and I make of this? Hearing her inner voice finally let me decipher her bizarre attitude. After processing it all, I spoke calmly. Stick with me. We are diving into the wildest marriage crisis. You agreed to divorce instantly because of our problems, right? Is that true? Honestly, I do not think we have any issues whatsoever. Everything we do perfectly follows that strict prenuptial agreement we signed before getting married. Honestly, I am not entirely sure why you actually want a divorce, but I always respect your choices, she calmly replied. She then elegantly reached up, using her slender hand to gracefully tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear. It was oddly, devastatingly seductive. That is, until her totally unhinged inner voice completely destroyed the elegant mood by crying her eyes out, "Why does my handsome hubby want a divorce? Which basic witch is trying to steal my man? Does she actually have a better hourglass figure than I do? Is she prettier? Does she have more degrees? Does she look way more intellectual and aloof than me? Even though I am completely faking this cold persona, I faked it flawlessly for 2 years. Who is stealing my husband? This wild barrage of mental yelling made my temples seriously throb. Now pay attention, because my high and mighty wife was actually an unhinged, dramatic chatterbox inside. We did not see this coming. My brain was doing absolute backflips. The mental noise was way too loud to even think straight. Unable to hold back my frustration, I snapped. "You shut up first." Instantly, the whole world went dead silent. I realized something was wrong and looked up at the girl across from me. Chloe's beautiful eyes filled with instant grievance as she softly mumbled, "I did not say anything." Oh my gosh, hubby is so fierce, but even when he is fierce and yelling at me, he looks incredibly handsome. I just want to kneel down right now and call him Master Chloe, you absolute freak. But if hubby holds the power, maybe that is not a bad idea. I am totally into it. Wait, what the heck? I was completely bewildered. She had that kind of hidden preference. I was once again shocked into absolute silence. The pristine image of the untouchable goddess professor I held in my mind collapsed faster than a fragile house of cards in a massive hurricane. At this exact moment, Chloe watched me staring blankly at her with a completely horrified expression. She panicked internally, wondering if she seemed too eager and accidentally exposed her true wild nature. Why else was hubby acting weird? I finally spoke, interrupting her wild mental gymnastics. First, I had to clarify that my desire for divorce had absolutely nothing to do with some fictional homewrecker. I just wanted to talk about our issues today. When I brought up divorce before, it was strictly based on the terms we agreed upon before getting married. If we lived together for a few years and felt absolutely no spark or met someone else we genuinely liked, we would just divorce peacefully. Let us pause for a second. You agreed so quickly, I naturally assumed you also felt zero spark between us. Plus, did I not hear that you still have an unforgettable first love in your heart, some older senior from our school? Hearing this, Chloe's expression grew even colder, her beautiful eyes hiding something deep, dark, and totally panicked within. So what you are saying is you have someone else in your heart, or do you feel absolutely nothing for me? Was this spark totally one-sided on my end this entire time? Am I going to spontaneously combust from pure, unrequited love? Hubby feels nothing for me. I am such a tragic beauty. I continued. I thought you felt nothing. I have nobody else. For the past 2 years, I focused on building my company. I thought you would grow tired of this completely mundane, passionless routine. After all, you never objected to the divorce, and I heard that back in high school you had a huge, unforgettable crush on an older senior. That ice-cold mask of the person sitting right across from me instantly shattered into absolute dust. The pink blush that just faded came creeping back up her slender neck with an absolute vengeance, completely engulfing her entire face. Seeing her incredibly extreme reaction, I completely forgot whatever I was about to say next. The tiny spark of hesitation and hope that had just ignited inside my heart was immediately snuffed out. With a crazy reaction like that, it was too hard to convince myself she did not care about this mystery guy. So Chloe really did have someone else living rent-free inside her heart. I heavily sighed and looked away. If you have someone else in your heart, there is no need to stay chained to me. I simply cannot accept my wife harboring deep romantic feelings for another man while sleeping under my roof. Another man, Chloe, who was already blushing furiously, was completely taken aback. At first, she actually thought I discovered her wild little secret and thought she was a massive weirdo, hence the sudden divorce. Hubby, why can you not accept that the senior I have a huge crush on is literally you? Fine. I will just confess right now, but I am so incredibly shy. Is now a good time? Is it even appropriate? I should have worn sexier lingerie. You and I just witnessed pure comedy gold. Stick with me here because this gets wild. Listening to her inner monologue, her unforgettable crush was actually me. But I am 2 years older than Chloe, and we never even attended the same college. The senior had to be from middle or high school, yet looking at Chloe's flawless face, she must have been a really gorgeous, popular kid back then. There is no way I would completely forget ever interacting with her. Right when I was about to open my mouth and ask her, I saw Chloe suddenly stand up from the couch. When you mentioned getting a divorce earlier, it definitely wasn't because I did not care or had zero reaction. A huge problem happened with my university lab experiment, so I had to rush back to work to fix it. And honestly, that old senior crush is entirely a thing of the past. Her hands by her sides trembled slightly, completely exposing her anxiety. I am really not feeling well today. I think we should save this big discussion for another day. What do you think? How about we set another time to chat properly? Looking cold on the outside, Chloe was mentally screaming like a loud ambulance siren. I cannot confess looking like this. My makeup is flawed and my cool image is ruined. I really think girls just carry way too much unnecessary mental baggage around with them sometimes. I don't really get it, but I respect it. Plus, I really desperately needed some time to process this incredibly chaotic relationship dynamic. At least I knew for a fact the senior Chloe liked was actually me, even though my memory was totally blank about when we met. I just nodded my head in agreement. Is 3 days from now okay? I have a big business trip out of town tomorrow. Chloe gave a stiff nod, nervously clutching the hem of her shirt, and whispered quietly, I will go back to rest now. Good night. Now watch this hilarious contrast. I echoed her goodnight, staring at this girl who looked totally composed and untouchable outside, but was internally screaming like a wild fangirl slowly walking to her room. I leaned back heavily on the sofa, my eyes vacant, just staring at the ceiling. Everything that happened today felt exactly like a bizarre fever dream. Should I visit a psychiatrist tomorrow? Was any of it real? But hearing her repeatedly call me hubby in that sweet, desperate tone, it honestly felt incredibly sweet to hear. Meanwhile, back in her room, Chloe was rolling wildly around her bed like a burrito, her whole body totally burning up with intense embarrassment. She hugged a massive teddy bear tightly and covered her mouth to suppress a literal scream. Does Liam finally know? Does he know I have secretly loved him for so many years? But suddenly her genius-level brain kicked in, realizing something really just did not add up. She sat bolt upright, tossing the giant bear aside. Wait, no. That makes zero sense. If Liam knew he was the senior I liked, he never would have said he minds me loving someone else, and he definitely would not want a divorce at all. So how exactly did he discover my secret crush? You feel that shift, right? Years ago, when the young girl first saw him, she was instantly completely captivated. She was brilliant, boasting a genius IQ. While normal kids her age were just playing in primary school, she had actually skipped grades straight to her 3rd year of middle school. She never stayed in a single class for long, making her feel incredibly isolated and quiet. Eventually, jealous classmates started bullying her for her intellect. One day, right after school, she was violently cornered in a dirty alleyway by some loud delinquent punks from the nearby vocational school. Right as they were about to harass her, a passing boy heard the commotion and quickly ran over. "Who bullies little kids?" he yelled fearlessly, quickly chasing the scared punks away with his absolute bravado. He then turned around. Or do you have one of those fancy smartwatches to call your parents? Hearing this, the girl was absolutely stunned. She just looked down at her uniform. It was clearly a middle school uniform, and she was already a 3rd-year student. Exactly how tiny did she look? Just then, a few loud boys walked out of the alley yelling, "Liam, what are you doing, man? Let us go play ball," the boy replied over his shoulder. "You guys go right ahead. I will catch up later. I seem to have found a lost little kid. I need to drop her at the police station first so she does not get kidnapped." For some inexplicable reason, the girl permanently memorized his name, Liam, and obediently followed him to the station without a single word of protest. Once her totally frantic parents arrived, the boy happily handed her over to the police officers and left shortly after to play basketball. From that day on, she never once forgot the boy named Liam. Remembering this core memory, Chloe grabbed her phone and furiously texted her best friend and main tactical advisor, Mia. "Mia, did you not swear your elite intel said he absolutely loves aloof, quiet, intellectual types? I have been faking this Ice Queen persona for 2 solid years. Why does he not like me, and why does he actually want a divorce now, receiving this midnight text?" Mia replied instantly. "Babe, I think your true clingy personality is way more lovable. Anyway, I warned you that intel might just be absolute hot garbage. Did you actually sign the papers, Chloe?" "No, I panicked, played sick, and ignored him. That leaves us completely hanging. Stick with me here." We came back halfway, and then I wildly tried to win him over. But as you can see from this sad, empty bed while I text you, complete and total failure. Across town, Mia stared at the message in total disbelief, her hands literally shaking while typing her reply. Either the guy is completely clueless or you were off. A normal guy failing to fall for you? Impossible. But that intel about his exact type came straight from his best friend, Zach. It had to be right. Mia sounded super hesitant. Chloe just lay on her bed feeling absolutely crushed. Plus today he actually asked if I've crushed on an older student forever. He claims he refuses to share his wife's heart, asking for a divorce. But there is nobody else. It has always been him, Mia. Okay, this crazy misunderstanding totally belongs in a massive romance web novel. This is ridiculous. Chloe, absolutely no way, I just cannot take it. We promised to talk properly after his business trip in 3 days. I honestly cannot keep faking this distant act anymore. I completely threw myself at him tonight. The cool act is over. I am going all in. Early the next morning, because of my fast upcoming flight, she stepped from the kitchen looking incredibly pretty, holding perfect toasted sandwiches and warm milk. Hearing me, she turned, offering a super polite, subtle smile. Good morning. I made breakfast. Eat together. Just a totally basic greeting sounding exactly like her usual cold, aloof self. But pay attention right here, guys. Everything changed today because I could suddenly hear her mind going wild. Oh, wow, hubby looks insanely gorgeous in that black button-down. My knees are weak. I might actually faint. I love it so much. Wait, oh no! Why is hubby staring silently at me? Say something. I will start drooling if he keeps staring. I could not help but genuinely smile, nodding back. Good morning. Thanks so much for making this. Right on cue, her brain screamed and short-circuited again, practically melting into madness. I was absolutely amazed. Who knew this elegant, educated girl was this wildly unhinged inside before? When her mind babbled about edgy outfits and fishnets, I just assumed she was being overly dramatic. But hearing her wild internal romantic broadcasts now, I realized it was totally not nonsense. She was just chronically, hopelessly obsessed with me. I actually found myself eagerly awaiting her very next wild thought. Outwardly, we just ate our breakfast in totally refined silence. Inside, I felt like I was attending a chaotic comedy show in my head. Honestly, what a fantastic morning start. Before leaving, I glanced at Chloe, paused for a second, and calmly said, I am heading out. The girl who was mentally crying and thrashing around thinking I have to leave hubby, I cannot handle it. I will wither from loneliness. She widened her eyes, nodded stiffly, and walked over. Safe travels. I nodded, grabbed my suitcase, and turned away. Chloe just could not hide her sudden desperation anymore. Wait, your tie is crooked. Come here, let me fix it for you, she said aloud, sounding slightly very urgent. You and I know she is plotting a heist. Hubby, do not make me bite you and drag you back. I am better than gold, a national treasure. Do not leave me. I planned to just yank the tie off in the cab anyway, putting it on merely out of habit. I could easily fix it later. But hearing her desperate thoughts, my hand froze on the door. I looked at her and slowly asked, could you fix it? I cannot check a mirror now. Totally okay. Chloe worried, her real voice sounded way too eager. The pure excitement shining in those gorgeous eyes was painfully obvious to absolutely anyone paying attention. Chloe stepped uncomfortably close, reaching for my tie. Honestly, the tie was not even slightly crooked. She desperately wanted an excuse to be close. Other couples share goodbye hugs and romantic farewell kisses before business trips. I have to create lame excuses just to touch his tie, but whatever. Their husbands are absolutely nowhere near as hot. My hubby wins. Being this close, I naturally heard everything. Unless I randomly went deaf, but hugging seemed totally wrong here. After all, just yesterday, we were seriously planning our divorce. I coughed lightly. Those delicate hands on my tie paused, then reluctantly pulled away. Her mental crying stopped completely, turning into a frantic chant. Hubby, kiss me right now. Smooch, attack me with those lips. Outwardly, she just calmly whispered, all right. I thought inside, once we finally clear the air in 3 days, I absolutely must cure her intense tsundere habit. So what do we make of this? Holding back such crazy emotions must seriously hurt her brain. Stick with me here. For the very first time, I found a business trip incredibly annoying. I barely left our neighborhood, yet I already wanted to cancel my flight and run right back home to my wife. I was traveling with Zach this time around. The VIP we were meeting was a hotshot screenwriter Zach introduced. He was totally supposed to connect us with even more huge names in the industry. Over the years, my tiny, struggling studio had magically grown into a highly profitable mid-sized company. We had signed some truly top-tier comic artists and released several original projects that gained massive, insane traction. Meeting at the airport terminal, Zach looked incredibly cheerful, holding his coffee. He hesitated before asking, Bro, you are getting a divorce today. Why do you look so incredibly happy? Wait, please do not tell me you backed out of it. I shot him a very sharp side eye. Your intel is super fast. How did you know I didn't go through with it? Ha ha! Zach laughed nervously, scratching his awkward head. He could not exactly admit he was secretly still in contact with Mia. They broke up ages ago in a total fiery mess. Admitting he still talked to his toxic ex would make him the absolute laughingstock of our entire friend group. Plus, he definitely did not want to confess that he accidentally leaked my personal preferences to Mia, acting like a sneaky double agent. Zach quickly tried to change the subject. Bro, your wife is an absolutely top-tier, undeniable beauty. Now watch closely. If you divorce her, other guys will line up around the block celebrating. Are you genuinely willing to let a 10 out of 10 go? Hearing this, I stopped walking, staring at Zach intensely without saying a single word. Feeling incredibly guilty under my intense death stare, Zach mumbled, "What? Why are you looking at me like I just stole your lunch money?" I flashed a sudden, super dangerous smile. "You seem very, very invested in my wife's current relationship status." "Bro, do not talk nonsense. I have someone I like. I am loyal." Zach waved his hands frantically in defense. "I was just thinking you told me before that your wife had a childhood crush in her heart for years. By the way, how did you even find that out?" I thought to myself, thank God I can miraculously hear her inner voice now, or this stupid, ridiculous misunderstanding would have completely ruined my entire marriage. Zach never expected me to drop a sudden bomb. "Was it Mia who told you?" "Bro, do not get mad. You guys haven't spoken in ages, right? What exactly did you two even talk about?" This immediately reminded me of Chloe's thoughts from yesterday about me exclusively liking aloof and intellectual girls. I did not even know I liked that specific type until yesterday. Actually, I definitely do not like that type. Elegant and intellectual. My older sister and mom are literally like that. I do not have a weird mommy complex. I narrowed my eyes dangerously at Zach cracking my knuckles. I had a strong feeling Chloe's massive misunderstanding was directly linked to him and his giant mouth. "I did not say much, I swear. I just told her your type," Zach promised, quickly backing up. "I saw how well you clicked with Chloe during blind dates, so I figured since Mia asked, Chloe must be super interested in you too. I just thought telling her your type would be a totally solid wingman move to help her secure the bag. We all see it now." During initial blind dates, Chloe wasn't this freezing cold. Although she didn't talk much, she smiled constantly, and her smile was genuinely beautiful. But after getting married, she completely stopped smiling and turned into a total ice statue. Combined with the misunderstanding about touching her super sensitive waist, I truly believed she felt entirely uncomfortable and disgusted around me. So this idiot is exactly where it all started. I took a deep, calming breath. Other guys get elite wingmen who set them up for success. What the heck is my bro? An absolute saboteur. And what exactly did you tell her my specific type was? Be honest. Elegant, intellectual, kind of an unapproachable, high-peak flower vibe, Zach said, matter-of-factly, looking entirely too proud of himself. "And how did you reach that genius conclusion?" "You reached that wrong conclusion when you mercilessly rejected that cute junior's public confession in college. You literally told her face you disliked hyperactive, cute, clingy girls and that you vastly preferred independent, aloof, and intellectual women." Zach's voice completely trailed off as he noticed my face turning the color of charcoal. Did he somehow get it wrong? But he was there. He heard the audio. He remembered it perfectly. Through heavily gritted teeth, I snarled, "You really are my absolute best bro, with bros like you who even needs enemies. You cannot even tell the difference between a polite face-saving rejection excuse and the actual truth. It was just an excuse, bro. You had never dated anyone. How was I supposed to know if it was true? I just thought your standards were sky high and you hated cute girls. Well, at least I finally found the true source of my wife's deeply flawed intel. Zach and Mia were entirely to blame for this 2-year farce. But I realized the biggest, most glaring problem still lay with Chloe and me. What do we learn? We never truly communicated. Never sat down to understand each other. Stick with me. We are diving into a marriage surviving purely on absolute zero communication today. Meanwhile, Chloe Power walked to her university lab. Away from her husband, she seemed like a totally normal person. But calling her fake aloof is completely wrong. To everyone else, she naturally wore an unbreakable Ice Queen armor. The second she walked in, her 4 grad students jumped to attention, absolutely terrified of her presence. "Good morning, Professor." Chloe kept a completely blank face, giving a tiny nod. "Morning. Let us review your submitted data. Prepare to explain your methods." She stayed there from dawn till dusk, ruthlessly tearing apart every single mistake they made. Not until Mia called her exactly at 6:30 did she finally realize the actual time. She stared at her phone buzzing away on the desk but ignored it. Her hands remained completely steady, adjusting gear. 20 minutes passed before the data was finally fixed. All right, getting late. Head back to your dorms now. Lily, wearing a lab coat, asked super politely. Professor, do you want to grab some dinner with all of us? You have been working so hard. Kevin chimed in fast. Yeah, Professor, a brand new Korean BBQ joint just opened. It is amazing. Our treat. Chloe stood up perfectly, organizing her spotless desk. No need, you guys go on. I just pray the next batch of data is not off by such a massive margin again. Do you get what I mean? Both students instantly stood up, totally straight, sweating bullets. Sorry, Professor. We will be way more careful next time. Chloe gave a nod, stayed completely silent, and walked out holding her designer bag. I am literally starving right now. Korean, BBQ, yes, eating Korean BBQ with Mia. Tonight I want to grill meat for hubby so desperately. Why did he leave on a business trip? Now watch this. Kevin and Lily stared at her, walking away, only daring to finally breathe once she was gone. Kevin let out a massive sigh. Our professor is absolutely stunning, but she scares me way more than my mom. Lily cringed hard. I used to think she was so pretty, and wow, her waist is crazy just like a model. I thought young professors were chill. Who knew she was so painfully strict, absolute monster? Tell me about it honestly. Imagine what she acts like with her husband at home. Seriously, who could survive that freezing energy? Cut to Chloe sitting inside Mia's luxury sports car, sounding super depressed. I am telling you, your intel was wrong. If it is wrong, Zach will seriously regret it, Mia muttered through gritted teeth while aggressively swerving between the lanes. Remembering how incredibly close she came to signing those divorce papers yesterday, Chloe's beautiful eyes welled up with real tears. Mia, I do not want this. I love him. You will not lose him. We are restocking your arsenal today. Mia smiled bright, a completely devious spark in her eyes. Chloe blindly trusted her best friend, so no divorce meant exactly that. You know exactly what is coming next here. As Mia literally dragged her into the glowing neon adult boutique, Chloe completely shattered her perfect icy facade and panicked. Deep down, she panicked hard. Can we really enter here? We are two girls. So embarrassing. But Mia, totally chill, dragged her inside by the wrist. Did your seduction plan completely fail last time? That just means your gear was too weak. Let me be your tactical coach today. We are grabbing absolute weapons of mass seduction today. Is this actually okay? She sounded incredibly hesitant, but her feet obediently followed her friend. Chloe did not want a divorce whatsoever. Even with insane prep and Zach pulling strings, there were too many guys to meet. Arrogant writers, cheap investors, everyone. A super quick 1 or 2 day business trip slowly dragged on for an absolutely miserable, exhausting full week instead. I drank until my stomach practically gave up at those banquets, all just to finally secure one meeting at a huge production studio. Thanks to this total nightmare schedule, my serious talk with Chloe kept getting pushed back. But things felt slightly different. Normally, I never heard a single peep from her during trips. This time, since I broke my word, I called her directly. I also really wanted to test if her inner thoughts worked over the phone miles away. Unfortunately, absolutely zero luck. That telepathy skill definitely has a distance limit. Chloe sounded super understanding over the call and never complained once. But right after that, I started getting daily morning and night texts plus random life updates. I could totally tell she was not used to this. Her messages read totally dry like corporate reports. She even sent one text asking, "Am I currently bothering your work? If I am, I will stop texting." Reading that, I could easily picture her crying inside, nervously biting her lip. I thought about it for a second and replied, "No, very interesting. Reading your messages makes drinking with these old dudes way less annoying." She replied with just, "Oh." But then an absolute flood of texts began. "So what do you and I make of this beautiful scenery, chubby cats, and daily lunch updates?" Being away for a super busy week actually did something crazy. I honestly felt way closer to her now than when we were living together every single day in that totally silent house. Come along with me, I finally flew back in secret, totally hiding my arrival details from Chloe. I wanted it to be a surprise. Getting to her lab, Chloe looked like absolute impenetrable freezing ice. 4 students around her age stood there totally crushed by her terrifying aura. I'll say this one final time. Either do the work properly right now or apply for a completely different advisor immediately. Too scared to tell the faculty you're failing, I will march there and tell them myself. Seriously, this was the absolute first time I ever heard such freezing, sharp hostility coming from her. The old Chloe was cold, sure, but she never had this sharp edge. Seeing her through that glass, rocking a crisp white lab coat and blasting this boss aura everywhere, I suddenly realized something wild. I might actually love the aloof, bossy type. It was honestly super hot. Kevin definitely knew he shouldn't space out during a scolding, but the guy standing out in the hallway was just way too eye-catching. He literally could not stop stealing glances. Being the only people in that lab made his total distraction painfully obvious. "Kevin, what are you looking at? Is the data you desperately need floating out in the hallway?" She snapped, finally turning around to look. This high and mighty professor who was literally spitting ice and mentally chanting just seconds ago to keep her cool suddenly locked eyes with me through the window. "Don't blink because watch this." Absolute shock flashed in her eyes. She stayed silent, but her brain instantly launched a massive halftime show. "Oh my gosh, hubby is back. Did hubby really come pick me up? Was I way too mean earlier? Hubby, please do not misunderstand. I am not mean. I am incredibly sweet. It is entirely this stupid experiment's fault, and these hopelessly stubborn students, excluding the morning we left, I haven't seen hubby for exactly 168 hours, or 10,080 minutes. I missed my hubby so incredibly much I could faint." Great. I was completely hooked line and sinker. I just nodded and gestured for her to finish up. I was not in any rush. With her husband watching, Chloe entirely lost her motivation to scold them. Still, she could not make the shift obvious, so she faced the students again. Her expression stayed tight and serious, but that terrifyingly heavy aura completely vanished into thin air. "If you ever repeat the exact mistakes I pointed out today, never return to this lab. Let us stop wasting each other's valuable time right now." She just waved them away. The 4 students finally exhaled deeply, immediately turning toward the hallway window. They all witnessed the exact second their terrifying professor spotted the man standing outside. Her entire aura instantly flipped from absolute demon boss to normal person. I did not mind their staring and cheerfully nodded at them. Chloe coughed lightly, trying to regain dominance. "What do you want to stay for more experiments? Run along." Taking off her coat, a student named Lily nervously asked, "Professor, is the guy outside your husband?" We both know exactly how she felt. Chloe, secretly glancing at me, was mentally screaming with joy. "Hubby is picking me up. I am totally winning at life." She gave Lily a fancy reserved nod. But deep down, she was setting off massive fireworks everywhere. I wished on the stars every single night for his return. But the stars are way up there, and my incredibly handsome hubby is standing right here. I watched her internally spout absolute nonsense while keeping a flawlessly calm, cool face for her students. Walking out of the lab, she stopped right in front of me with a tiny, polite smile. "Sorry to keep you waiting out here. I had no idea you were coming. Are you visiting Professor Lin, Professor Zhang, or my parents?" I naturally reached out, brushing a totally fake piece of lint off her glasses. "Actually, I came to pick you up for dinner. Sorry I broke my promise about coming back sooner." When my hand brushed her cheek, Chloe's entire heart just completely stopped beating. Her wild internal monologue went dead silent. "Just some lint on your glasses," I whispered, while Chloe's heart rate totally spiraled out of control. "Oh my gosh, just one single tiny touch and I am completely falling for him again. That makes 998 times I have fallen for Liam. When will he ever truly fall for me just like this?" This specific thought was vastly different from her usual ones. It carried a real distinct trace of deep longing and hidden sadness. My chest suddenly ached with a sharp pang. Maybe I seriously needed to start understanding her properly instead of just treating her like a cute roommate. We strolled shoulder to shoulder down the quiet campus pathway. Well, quiet outside anyway. In reality, I was basically attending a solo comedy roast. Yes, Chloe's inner voice. She talked a mile a minute, dropping absolutely wild, flirtatious one-liners internally. Hearing her actively debate if she should seduce me tonight using that wild outfit Mia bought, I honestly could not help but shoot her a quick side glance. Trust me, seeing her beautiful face completely wiped away every bit of my exhaustion. "All right, you and I are jumping right into this." It was dinner time, so he asked to grab some good food. She had secretly been dreaming of grilling meat for him like a perfect traditional wife. But out loud, she just gave him a super tiny, completely indifferent nod. She said whatever, but inside her mind was totally screaming, "What does whatever mean? I do not want just whatever at all." She scolded herself for acting like an annoying brat instead of cool. She desperately wanted Korean barbecue. Korean barbecue right now? I hope telepathy is real, she thought. He chuckled silently to himself. Oh, telepathy is very real and he heard everything. He smiled smoothly, agreeing to barbecue. Her voice still tried to sound totally indifferent, but that tiny leap of joy was undeniable. "Yes, we are absolute soulmates." her inner voice cheered. She was so happy she wanted to kiss him right there. Her secret joy was super infectious. To break the stiff air, he asked if her students had upset her earlier today. You looked mad. Her happy humming stopped. Just a simple experiment. She explained how she practically held their hands through the whole lab. But they doubted a critical step, messed it up entirely, and totally ruined the dataset. Doubting is totally fine in science, but you really must verify. Now pay attention here. When she talked about those stubborn students refusing to check her method, she got dead serious. Her brows furrowed deeply. The worst part was this had happened before. She had proven them wrong so many times already, but they never listened. Inside, she panicked, wondering if she looked super scary when she was yelling at her students. She swore she was super gentle. She didn't even care about that stupid experiment. Her family was full of researchers anyway. It was just her job. Lowering her voice out loud, she nervously asked if her boring life was bothering him. Just endless experiments, research, and data. She felt incredibly boring. No wonder he does not like you, she thought sadly. Her mood tanked, but he quickly insisted it was fascinating. He promised he found it genuinely interesting. Even without knowing the technical jargon, he loved learning about the things she deeply cared about the most right now. Her eyes instantly sparkled. He realized that in the past, he simply never took the time to truly understand her. That lack of effort caused all those completely stupid misunderstandings between them. They soon arrived at a super popular barbecue spot. Thanks to his sweet reassurance, she finally relaxed completely. She quickly ordered their food. When the fresh meat arrived, the friendly waiter offered to cook for them. She instantly refused. She proudly declared she would grill the meat for him herself, wanting to outdo the other professors who always had the staff cook. Whatever they had, her man would have it too. She was fully determined to treat him like absolute royalty. He thought her backward logic was hilarious. If anything, he should be the one grilling to show off his own husband's skills. Her mind operated entirely differently now. We both saw this coming, right? He completely overestimated her cooking skills. The second her delicate fingers accidentally brushed the sizzling hot grill, she yelped in pain. He immediately grabbed her injured hand. An angry red burn mark flared up on her fair skin. It looked incredibly painful. While she was mentally crying over the pain, her mood flipped instantly when he grabbed her. Oh wow, are we holding hands now? If he kisses it, the pain is totally worth it. He was frowning at her burn, completely helpless against her adorable inner whining. Kissing it was definitely out of the question right here. He blew on it gently, looking up at her stunned face. Does it hurt bad? He offered to find burn ointment or run to a pharmacy. Seeing his deep tenderness, she completely forgot to maintain her tough ice queen persona entirely. She stuttered that she was totally fine, but on her fair skin that angry red welt still stood out incredibly sharp. To him, it was a massive eyesore, but she was already gently pulling back. Not because she hated the contact, but because his intense gaze made her incredibly shy and super weak. Her inner thoughts were racing like crazy, but in reality she was incredibly thin-skinned. Seeing her silent awkwardness, he finally let go, though his eyes stayed glued right to her injured hand. He quickly pressed the service bell. Since it was a barbecue spot, burns happened often, so they brought some handy ointment. She clumsily applied it herself. When the waiter asked to help cook again, she did not dare refuse. She had wanted to show off her wifely skills, but got totally embarrassed. He just smiled and waved the waiter away. He told them to leave the tongs. He grabbed them and started grilling. Trust me, you are going to love this. Her eyes went wide, watching his flawlessly smooth grilling skills as he finally took over. All right, you and I are diving into this. Back in college, I was completely broke, grilling barbecue. I remember it well. That was when Professors Lin and Zhang tried cutting off my funds, desperately trying to force me into a STEM major. During my freshman year, second semester, I ended up posting some super angsty emotional vents online. A friend left a comment telling me to just go home and apologize. I totally snapped back. I am not going to starve, and zero chance I return to academic research. Through mutual friends, Chloe figured out my family cut me off. They furiously opposed me studying finance, claiming it was completely useless for an ordinary family like ours. I was genuinely shocked. How did you know about that? That happened way back in freshman year. Almost nobody knew about that brief phase. How did she find out Chloe was utterly panicking now? She got way too comfortable and slipped up. She almost blamed Zach, but meeting my intense stare, she completely froze in pure silence. Finally, she softly whispered, I secretly followed your social media back then, but I was just a freshman. You are younger. Wait, weren't you in high school? Seeing her bring up the past, I realized this was the absolute perfect chance for answers. My voice softened gently, guiding the chat. So we actually knew each other back then. Her face flushed red. The burn on her hand radiated intense heat even with ointment applied. A million chaotic thoughts were swirling rapidly through her mind. She never hesitated solving insane physics equations, but in the messy world of love, she always panicked. Now pay attention, she hated playing hard to get, but she was absolutely terrified of rejection. You and I have all been there. I didn't rush things at all. I could literally hear her inner voice and deep fears. Honestly, my mind was blown. This girl loved me incredibly deeply. But I constantly wondered, when exactly did we actually first cross paths? If it was during those blind dates, her whole senior crush timeline made zero sense. When you were a freshman, I was already studying abroad as a sophomore. Even knowing my wife was an absolute genius, I was just like, damn it. Chloe totally noticed my shock and nervously explained, hey, you are incredibly amazing too. Way more amazing than I thought. My hubby praised me, I am flying. Boosted by that sweet praise, she finally gathered all her courage and blurted it out. Actually, before you went abroad, we met. You thought I was a lost primary school kid and dragged me straight to the police station. Utter confusion completely washed over my face then. Wait, did that actually happen? Chloe looked super embarrassed, but pushed forward. I developed late. I was a third-year middle schooler, but I had zero growth spurt I truly could not remember. It was just a random act of absolute kindness from my childhood. How could I possibly remember a tiny detail like that now? Seeing my blank stare, Chloe looked heartbroken, but she quickly laid out all the details. That semester, the middle schoolers were temporarily moved to the high school campus because their building literally collapsed. I completely remembered that collapsed building. Look at her, an absolute gorgeous boss babe. Honestly, you and I could never ever picture someone this stunning as a tiny mistaken primary school kid, right? How tiny was she back then, reading my mind? Chloe blushed intensely. I skipped tons of grades and had not developed yet, but I was definitely a little bigger than a primary schooler, seriously. You were not completely wrong. I just could not stop laughing. You must have been an insanely cute primary school kid then. Chloe completely froze, staring blankly at me. I just smiled. I always wanted a cute little sister back then. If I voluntarily dragged you to the police station, you were definitely adorable. Otherwise, my younger self would not have bothered playing the hero. Looking at Chloe, my eyes literally crinkled with joy. I can totally tell you were an adorable little sister once. You are so gorgeous now. You were probably even cuter then, but she panicked. I want to be your wife, not your little sister. I want to be your wife and have your babies. Wait, I was just making an analogy. I did not actually want a surprise sister. I quickly corrected myself. Seeing her blushing furiously across from me, I suddenly realized this chaotic situation was perfectly fine. It finally clicked, the legendary senior my wife crushed on for years. That elusive white moonlight was actually me, all along. Right now, Chloe was practically melting from embarrassment over her confession. Calling me her white moonlight was not perfectly accurate, but technically I was her one and only. I looked down, terrified that seeing her absolutely adorable, conflicted face might make me lose control entirely. I gently reached out, pouring her some barley tea. Through the partition curtain, faint chatter echoed from the outside world. But the loudest sound was her frantically racing heart and that echoing inner thought. I have only ever truly liked him. Just you. Nobody else. And that is where we leave it. You and I witnessed peak romance. Stick with me here. She tells Liam you only asked for a divorce before because you thought I actually had someone else in my heart. But since you finally know it was a huge misunderstanding, are you willing to give us another shot? I looked at her seriously, my own mood lifting. Meanwhile, Chloe tries hiding her massive joy behind a totally cool fake indifference. Okay, let's start today. In her head, she is screaming. Is this what absolute hope feels like? I actually get to date my hubby? Wait, dating sounds weird since we are married. Whatever. I am just incredibly happy. Hearing her loud, joyful thoughts, I looked into her sparkling eyes, though her gorgeous little face stayed totally blank. I could not resist teasing her. Actually, having Mia investigate my type, that intel was wrong. I really do not like the cold, aloof vibe at all. Chloe's eyes snap completely wide open. Wait, you knew? Have I been doing this wrong the entire time? Her voice actually trembles. Then what is your type? Before I was not sure, but lately I think I finally figured it out. How about you just be yourself and we see what happens? After all, we are married. We are going to spend our whole lives together. Here is where it gets interesting. Driving home, Chloe has one single panicked thought. Hubby definitely knows. He knows I faked it. He knows absolutely everything. I was the clown all along. But wait, I am a genius. I finally got him. Beside her, the smile never leaves my face. Being around Chloe completely melts away all my exhaustion. I am incredibly excited to finally see her real personality without that fake ice queen filter. Back at home, I am just heading to my room when she nervously calls out to me. She explains earnestly and super quietly. I was not completely faking. I really am strict around my students. It is just that with close people, I get super clingy and loud. I was just terrified you would not like that side of me. I just smiled. How will you know if you do not try? She tilts her head, studies my smiling face, and then finally smiles back, looking completely relieved. Okay, I will try. I just never expected. The very next morning, I find an epic breakfast spread waiting with a cute sticky note. Good morning, hubby. I have class today, so I left for campus pretty early. Just heat the food if it gets cold. After eating breakfast, I headed straight to the office. Deep in work around noon, Chloe randomly calls. She made lunch and is coming over. Soon enough, she pops into my office carrying this insanely elaborate little bento box. Her cute face is practically radiating pure, unfiltered joy. Around others, she plays it cool, but right now she looks adorably goofy and super eager to please. Once I finish working, we sit side by side to eat together. Let's pause a second. Seeing this huge spread, I am genuinely curious. I never knew you cooked. We are usually so insanely busy, rarely cooking at home, mostly just eating out or ordering delivery. Chloe smiles proudly. I went abroad super early, so I had to learn everything myself. Once I turned 18, my mom moved back to China and stopped staying with me. I easily noticed that since clearing the air yesterday, she completely stopped keeping her heavy guard up. She actually loves smiling, and it makes her look even younger. Judging by her loud inner voice, she really just has the pure heart of a young smitten girl. Lunch takes a while, but it is highly rewarding. I feel like I understand her so much better right now. After eating, she is internally whining about not wanting to leave. She thinks I want to stay in hubby's office forever. She packs up the boxes swiftly. I reach out to help and our hands accidentally brush. Instantly, she freezes, glances up at me, and whispers, I am just shy. I blink, then totally burst out laughing. Wifey, you are a bit too cute. Praised is cute. She bites her lip, suppressing a massive grin, way too embarrassed to meet my eyes while her face burns brighter. I raise an eyebrow. I just called you wifey. Should you not return the favor and call me hubby? That is not too much to ask, right? She gently chews her lip, nervously twisting her fingers, blushing furiously, but staying absolutely silent. I am in no rush. I turn and grab the burn ointment I bought this morning from my desk drawer. Did you apply ointment last night? Seeing she is not ready to scream hubby out loud, I do not push it. Chloe feels a messy mix of relief and deep disappointment. She screams hubby a million times inside her head, but actually saying it to my face is way too terrifying. I applied it last night. Reminded, she instantly looks down at her injured hand. I walk over with the ointment. The red burn from last night is completely stark against her pale skin. Your hands are meant for doing delicate experiments. How can you be so careless? Let's put some ointment on. I place the small tube right in front of her. To my absolute surprise, she just blinks, then bravely extends her injured hand toward me. This is my right hand. My left hand is pretty clumsy. Can you do it for me? I stare at the hand offered to me, desperately wanting to point out she applied it herself last night just fine, but I slowly reach out and take her hand anyway. That is where we leave it. She hands me the open ointment, staring with wide, expectant eyes, thinking hubby's hand is so incredibly hot. Come along with me. As I rubbed the ointment on her hand, I was treated to another totally chaotic roller coaster ride via her inner voice. On the outside, she looked perfectly calm and stoic, but inside she was screaming about hitting a private beach and having me apply her sunscreen everywhere. Her face was completely flushed when I finished. Luckily, treating it fast last night stopped any real damage. I lifted her hand, blowing gently on the skin. That cool breath over the ointment made Chloe freeze instantly. Her chaotic inner monologue went silent. I looked up. She was completely dazed. Sorry, force of habit, I said, letting go. She looked so visibly disappointed as she mumbled it was fine. I stood up, grabbing her bento bag. I'll walk you out, I offered, explaining I had an afternoon meeting and couldn't drive her. She obediently walked right beside me, her inner voice oddly quiet today. My growing company usually took a nap break around this time. Normally, the office was totally empty. But stepping out, the bullpen was fully packed. I was speechless. Attendance wasn't even this perfect during our mandatory company meetings. Chloe was completely caught off guard as dozens of heads turned perfectly. His team worked so hard, are they looking? Do they think we look good together? I should have worn a cuter outfit for an audience, a total tactical error. But I'll get the hang of it after coming back more. Hubby wouldn't mind if I visited more, right? He didn't say no, so it is officially decided. I just smiled at the girl directing an entire movie in her head. Let's go. Ignore them. They're just curious about my wife. Mindful of her sensitive waist, I hovered a hand near her shoulder to gently guide her out. Here's where it gets interesting. Chloe paused, stepped back, and deliberately bumped right into my broad chest. I felt a rush of warmth. We hugged. Hubby is such a gentleman. It is so frustrating. But that is okay. I'll make the first move. Does he have pecs? They must look absolutely amazing. Wonder when I can touch them. Even a peek works. I quickly steered her outside, needing to immediately interrupt her rapidly escalating thirst. Did you drive? Yeah, I drove myself today. I'll head back on my own. Watching her car vanish, I went back inside to tackle work. But instead of going home, Chloe drove straight to Mia. I bought the combat gear but never used it, she whined. Completely clueless about romance, she desperately needed her expert tactician. Mia, a bona fide rich kid turned beauty influencer, was sipping tea at her favorite luxury cafe. The part-time barista cheerfully greeted Chloe walking in. Chloe smiled, said thanks, and quickly found Mia. Mia waved. Hey, gorgeous. Where are you coming from? Oh my gosh, how did you know I just had lunch with my hubby? No coffee today, my hubby just made me tea. Mia stared at her deadpan. I only know about your husband because you literally just told me. Are you seriously just here to flex? Staring at her radiant face, she was totally baffled. How could Liam endure 2 years married to this stunning girl without making a move? She noted to ask Zach about Liam. Meanwhile, back in my office, I aggressively sneezed 3 times. I bought them afternoon tea. I grumbled. Why on earth are they still cursing me? These kids are out of hand. Mia stared silently at the expectant Chloe before speaking. I know what you're thinking. Married for 2 years and still doing this pure high school crush routine? You barely hold hands. If all else fails, just get on the bus before buying tickets. Sleep together first. Chloe was swayed. Honestly, I thought about that too. But Liam, she blinked. I think he respects us. Mia slammed the table. This isn't about respect. Looking at you daily and doing nothing, is he broken? You have the face, body, and brains. Well, scratch the brains. You lose all IQ around him. You're perfect and he's playing pure love. If Mia had a hopelessly in love wife like Chloe, she would lock her in the bedroom all day long. Chloe couldn't take it. My hubby is not broken. Stop. Mia apologized instantly. Sorry, zero filter. I really didn't mean it. She knew Chloe fiercely protected Liam. Mia shoved her phone in Chloe's face. Let me show you adult educational materials. Pure love is fine, but just jump his bones, really? Is this right? Chloe genuinely felt her friend was getting unhinged. That's where we leave it. The wild idea secretly appealed to her, even if she was way too cowardly to actually do it. All right, stick with me here. Chloe gave the phone back, her face glowing suspiciously bright pink. I seriously need a valid excuse. I cannot just use these flirty tricks out of absolutely nowhere. Mia stared at Chloe, blushing hard. How would this shy girl ever take the lead? She sighed. It is June. Your school goes on summer break next month. Just say you are celebrating that. Mia literally lacked any better holiday ideas. Chloe was born in September, Liam in March. Finding excuses was brutal. Chloe just shook her head. No way his birthday is March. Too far away. Mia sighed heavily. Just get tipsy, pretend you are wasted and stumble into his room. Problem completely solved. Chloe just stared at Mia with massive innocent eyes. Mia stared back. Finally unable to beat those giant puppy eyes, Mia looked away and breathed deeply. Fine. What do you actually want to do? I worked late and missed dinner at home, grabbing fast takeout with the team instead. By the time I finished up, it was past 8 p.m. The office was still totally packed with people working overtime. Usually I would stay late and clear out the lower priority files too. But today, suddenly remembering Chloe showing up with that cute bento box, I completely called it quits. Sitting in my car, I hesitated before calling her. She picked up so fast, her sweet voice lifting cheerfully at the very end. Do you want late-night snacks? I am heading back now. I did not even realize I was smiling. Chloe hesitated, whispering, but I am not that hungry yet, and it is early. If I say no, will I miss my rare chance to eat with you tonight? I completely froze, then quickly replied, of course not. If you think it is too early, I will come home first and we can go out. Okay, I will wait for you at home. Hearing those exact words, I will wait. My mood instantly skyrocketed. Hanging up, I caught my reflection right in the rearview mirror. Look at you grinning like an absolute idiot. Never been wooed before, huh? I got home shortly after. Opening that door, I saw Chloe literally bounce off the sofa, flashing a completely devastating sweet smile. You are back. I nodded gently and said I am back. Chloe trotted over, smelling of sweet floral perfume, looking straight up at me with sparkling eyes. Do you want to shower first? It is still early. Now watch closely. Out of nowhere, her inner voice piped up. I wonder if hubby likes this totally innocent girl next door vibe. I really hope he does. I had to suppress a hard laugh. Honestly, if asked what my exact type was before, I would draw blanks. But hearing her thoughts and catching her sneaking cute glances at me, my lips curled upwards on their own with absolutely zero hesitation. Even up on the second floor, I could literally hear her inner voice screaming, acting exactly like a kid winning the lottery just because her husband gave a sweet compliment. I changed into a simple tee and casual jeans. Coming downstairs, I saw she changed too. By absolute pure coincidence, we were wearing matching black and white shirts. It looked like couple outfits. I raised an eyebrow and grinned. What do you want to eat? Let us grab kanji. There is a kanji spot across the neighborhood. Listening to her, I finally realized there were quite a few shops nearby. I rarely paid attention to local places, but Chloe sounded like a regular customer. Do you eat late-night snacks often? Sometimes if I return from the lab late or get hungry reading, I go. The cool evening breeze softly rustled the sweet girl's hair. We walked shoulder to shoulder down the warm summer streets. The weather felt nice, the bright stars were out, and spirits were super high. You felt that too, right? This sparked an old memory. Early on, Chloe shyly knocked, asking if I wanted some late-night snacks. I was always so busy and lacked the habit of eating late, so I politely declined. I could not even remember her sweet expression back then. I probably never looked at her properly. So after getting totally rejected, she just went out eating all by herself. Thinking about this, I could not help but stare a few more times. Maybe because I went completely silent, she turned to look, catching my intense gaze. She paused, touching her warm face. Is there something on my face? No. Has anyone ever told you how insanely pretty you are? I smiled. Then I witnessed the absolute human invention of the steam engine. Within seconds, her face turned totally beet red. Her panicked eyes darted everywhere, and she immediately stuttered. Really, I guess her poor brain was a total mess. Whenever we made direct eye contact, she completely lost control of her thoughts and mouth. Since I am so pretty, can I hold your hand? It is not a bad deal, right? Her voice grew way quieter as her internal mental screaming reached a massive crescendo of regret. I laughed hard, reaching out to grasp her delicate hand. I lacked deep experience with girls, and I felt afraid of moving way too fast and scaring her away. If you want anything, just tell me directly. The sweet girl, currently mentally kicking herself for her awful word vomit, suddenly felt her tiny hand being held. She looked like she might spontaneously combust right there. She gave a haughty little humph in pure acknowledgement. She processed absolutely nothing but that tiny hand held tight. That is where we leave it. Let us dive right in. Her fingers wiggled in my palm. I relaxed my grip, letting her slowly slide her fingers between mine until our hands perfectly locked together. Giving our locked hands a happy little swing, she gently tilted her head and smiled right at me. I totally smiled back. I guessed she missed my whole speech about being direct, mostly because she was way too busy blushing. But sitting down at the kanji shop, she totally dropped a bomb. Quote, since you said I can just tell you exactly what I want. I nodded, completely defenseless. Go ahead. Well, Mom and Dad told us to hurry up and give them a baby. She stared straight at me. I looked at her, utterly floored. I said to be direct, not drop a tactical nuke. Going straight to making babies, I clearly saw the massive gap between us now. Chloe's mind was incredibly pure. Not clueless, just pure. Probably because her sheltered life was vastly different from my dark world of shrewd businessmen. Seeing my reaction, she panicked slightly. Was that too direct? But there is no need for any build-up, right? Did you forget we are visiting your parents' house for dinner tomorrow? Our relationship was awful for 2 years, but we still visited my parents for dinner monthly. I know you do not have class tomorrow afternoon, right? You remembered my schedule? Her voice hitched with joy. I will wait for you at home. I just wanted to warn you they might bring up the baby thing again. You remembering my schedule obviously means you really care about me. Caring about me means you hold me in your heart. Having me in your heart means you actually like me. I told hubby about the baby pressure early so he could prepare. It is entirely my fault for not being persuasive enough. Now pay attention. This is where it gets funny. They will not buy my busy excuse this time. How else am I supposed to climb into hubby's bed? This is the only logical excuse I could find. Oh, so that was why my initial heavy guilt instantly evaporated into pure, delightful amusement. I casually glanced up. She was staring eagerly right at me, completely failing to hide the absolute infatuation in her eyes. Catching my gaze, she startled, heavily blushed, and quickly looked away. I scooped some congee into her bowl. Then if Mom and Dad ask, tell them to bother me or just say I am the one who does not want kids yet. She froze. I actually do not mind. Mom and Dad are very reasonable. They think since we have been married for 2 years, how else can I sleep in hubby's bed? That took forever to plan. Now it was my turn to freeze. My mood took an unexpectedly delightful turn. I casually remarked, you mentioned you lived alone abroad. Have you always valued your personal space? It was fine. I was young and my mom lived with me for a little while. I only got my own room when I grew older and liked the lifestyle. Why is hubby asking this? Am I just overthinking again? You and I know she is panicking. I value my space but dare not say it. Imagine if I say yes. There is a 1% chance hubby invites me into his room. It is late. Let a girl dream. Hubby is so gentle tonight. I dare to dream big. I really wanted to laugh. Her inner monologues were solid gold. Watching this girl mentally debate what pajamas to wear if we actually moved in together. How does a respectable professor have a mind running on mature dial-up speed? I asked slowly. Stop fantasizing. I am officially inviting you to move in. The hyperactive inner voice slammed the brakes. Her huge eyes went completely round, staring at me like I grew a second head. Of course, I added, just asking for your honest opinion here. If you do not want to, that is fine. I think since we are married, she interrupted. Yes. She immediately slapped a hand over her mouth, looking down very awkwardly, stammering. I mean, we have been married for 2 years. Since we are trying to cultivate our relationship, moving in together makes perfect sense, right? She shot me a quick, nervous glance. I absolutely love these little micro-expressions, just like a stray kitten cautiously testing a human's boundaries. The deafening internal screaming was getting loud. And do not worry, until our feelings reach that point, I will not do anything to you. The inner screaming stopped instantly. Wait, what does that mean? Why will he not do anything? Am I ugly, not sexy enough? I am not afraid of you doing something. I am afraid you will not do anything, whatever. Just get in the room first, figure out the rest later. Black tights, white tights, sheer tights. I aggressively pushed a side dish toward her to stop the impending flood of wild thoughts. Eat up! Seafood congee gets gross when cold. We will talk about moving rooms tomorrow after we get back from my parents. I could literally go back and move right now. I could check in tonight. Despite the mental shrieking outwardly, she just gave a modest nod. Whatever works for you. My schedule is flexible. I could not suppress my grin. Eat after the congee, we happily strolled back home. It was not too late. Cars were still passing by. We chatted aimlessly. I realized our talks were fun even without mind reading. At our doors, she said goodnight. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. Stick with me here. Our girl was internally sobbing. Is hubby not going to ask me to move in tonight? I have nothing. Just drag my body in there. I didn't indulge her this time around. I simply smiled and said good night. I needed a solid minute to process getting a roommate. The next day, work was absolutely insane, but I made sure to clock out right on time. I even grabbed a massive bouquet of roses on my way. Chloe was already dressed and waiting. Handing her the flowers, she blinked. Mom likes lilies. I thought these were for Professor Lin. I smiled. I know you like tulips, but they were completely sold out. These roses are just for you. Tulips next time. Holding the bouquet, she looked up, absolute sheer joy radiating from her pretty face. For me, my heart actually ached seeing her that surprised. Yes, for you. Do you like them? I love them, she replied without hesitation. I super love them. Hubby's first time giving me flowers. I'll preserve them. I'll take them to the lab and make them eternal flowers. I smiled. If you like them so much, I'll buy you flowers every single day. That's a waste. A bouquet lasts a week or two. Could you just make it a weekly thing? She didn't even act shy. She just stared at me with those bright, expectant eyes. Because getting flowers from you makes me happy for a whole week, maybe even longer. That direct strike hit me out of nowhere, slamming right into my chest. My pulse completely scrambled. No problem. I'll pick them out personally next time. That's wonderful. I will be happy for a very, very long time. Watch closely here. My heart was racing. It was like experiencing the rush of seeing her for the very first time all over again. I finally understood what she meant by falling in love with the same person repeatedly. It was so real. Looking at her gorgeous face, definitely prettier than the flowers, I touched my nose and smiled. So, is the happy Professor Joe ready to go home with me? Chloe felt completely beyond saving. Many people called her Professor Joe, but coming from my mouth, it sounded so incredibly intimate and flirty. Yes, let me just put these flowers away. She turned blushing hard and jogged into her room, carefully placing them on the table, gently stroking the red petals. The 999th time Chloe fell for Liam. Maybe my dream will come true soon. This was the most sincere inner thought I had heard, far removed from her chaotic rambling. Watching her graceful silhouette, I wondered how deep her love ran to count to 99.99. My heart hammered against my ribs. Let's go. I don't want to keep Mom and Dad waiting. After petting the roses, Chloe was practically skipping back over to me. I held out my hand, palm up, and smiled warmly. Can we hold hands? Those 4 words made her freeze, stare at my hand, and then grab it without a single second of hesitation. Hearing her mentally humming a super happy tune again, I realized she definitely did not need grand, gentlemanly gestures. Simple physical contact made her completely ecstatic. The drive to my parents' house took about half an hour. You and I know what's coming. When I led Chloe inside hand in hand, my mom, Professor Lynn, was watering plants. Oh, the young master has returned. Then her eyes locked onto our joined hands. She happily dropped the watering can and waved. Chloe, come to Mom. Have you lost weight, Mom? Chloe greeted sweetly, mentally groaning about having to let go of my hand, but she happily walked over anyway. I called out Mom. Then I complained, Mom, your favoritism is totally showing, calling her Chloe so sweetly and calling me young master. That casual use of her first name made Chloe blush hard, shooting me a shy look. I glanced back naturally. Yep, tease her once, and the contrast was absolutely hilarious. Professor Lynn was totally thrilled to see us flirting. She found her deadbeat son slightly more tolerable today. She grabbed both our hands. Our Chloe is so incredibly pale. Don't let her get tanned. Liam, go help your dad cook. Mom, I will help, Chloe offered quickly. Liam just got off work. My heart aches for hubby. He just finished work and has to cook. Can hubby even cook? Oh God, I really want to taste it. I realized my mom was actively trying to get rid of me. I hadn't cooked a single day in my life at this house. I was already deducting points from myself mentally. All right, I'll go cook. You ladies relax. Yay, hubby can actually cook. Hubby works so hard. I'll give him a massage when we get home. What if he says no? I'll figure it out later. Hearing the promise of a massage put a spring in my step as I marched into the kitchen. Professor Dad Arthur heard my approaching footsteps. The young master has returned. Chloe poked her head in. Dad, thanks for cooking. My dad's teasing expression instantly morphed right into pure paternal warmth. It's no trouble, Chloe. Go sit in the living room. I made your absolute favorite garlic mushrooms. Watching my parents interact with her, it took me 2 years to realize that in this family, my wife was vastly more popular than I was. Once Chloe left, Dad eyed me. What are you looking at? She's gone, acting like a pair of newlywed kids. Well, we basically are, I thought, turning back, need help washing the veggies. And that's where we leave it. Dad asked about work as usual, then pivoted sharply. How are things with Chloe? Pretty good, I said casually, tossing a mushroom in. Why? Dad frowned slightly. Are you still wearing that jade pendant I gave you? Let's dive into this. His sudden topic shift felt super weird. I sighed, mentioning I rarely remove it. Why is a professor so superstitious? Looking relieved, Dad argued he pulled major strings to get it. He insisted I keep wearing it for our sake, pausing to ask if anything unusual happened lately. A magic pendant. Does it have radiation or something? I almost laughed until a crazy realization hit me. I started hearing Chloe's inner voice right after wearing this thing. Could it actually be real magic? I stayed quiet, carefully testing the waters. Lately, I've felt weird, almost like I hear secret voices. I watched him closely, but he kept stir-frying without flinching. He simply told me to rest. Frowning at his calm reaction, I wondered if I was just overthinking. Dinner went perfectly smoothly after that. The mood was awesome. But then Professor Lin suddenly dropped a massive bomb right at the table, giving Chloe some food. I loved watching her blush while listening to her happy inner thoughts. So fun. You aren't getting younger. When are you two having a baby? A completely direct hit. She pointed out we see each other daily, unlike my sister who barely sees her husband anymore. Chloe quickly tried defending me, claiming she was just too busy, but Mom instantly cut her off. She threatened to check our teaching schedules. I sighed, explaining I was just swamped before today. Watch closely, things get wild here. Mom pushed back hard while Chloe mentally shouted she was totally ready. I threw a subtle smirk at Chloe, whose inner thoughts were acting up again. She sat there looking completely innocent and perfectly composed. I smiled, saying I wasn't busy, but not to rush us. Let nature happen naturally. Meanwhile, her mind raced excitedly, wondering if I was actually being serious about this. She mentally planned to use all her special gear tonight. After dinner, we watched television before heading back home. Driving back, I waited for her to mention the massage. Nothing, not even a single peep in her head. So once we got inside, I dramatically stretched and rubbed my sore shoulder. That was super obvious, right? Chloe definitely noticed. Hesitating slightly, she offered to try out some massage tricks she learned from her friends. She asked if I wanted to try. Internally, she was begging me to say yes or she would cry. Her inner voice proudly declared we were a perfect match, desperately pleading for a chance to show off. Hearing her adorable mental whining, I smiled and accepted calling her Chloe. Her eyes instantly went wide. She was totally melting over me, saying her name. I watched her beautiful face turn bright red, thoughts spiraling. Finally overwhelmed, she stammered she would find me later, awkwardly fleeing the scene and rushing right upstairs. I instantly felt bad for teasing her. She was just too shy. Would she actually bail? An hour later, a soft knock came. I smiled, walking over to answer it. You and I both know what happens next. Seeing her in a short white silk dress, I totally froze. Her stunning legs made it impossible to look away. I really wanted to touch her beautiful dark hair. Holding up massage oil, she softly announced she was ready. I honestly thought she was here for my soul. I wanted to pull her inside right then. Meanwhile, she stood there nervously fighting the urge to adjust her dress. Her mind raced, wondering why I wasn't moving. She mentally panicked, feeling like her heart was basically exploding. I invited her in politely, asking if she preferred her room instead, even though I knew she absolutely did not. Chloe didn't hesitate, marching straight in. She insisted my bed was much easier for us to use. I noticed her blushing profile but kept quiet, casually shutting the door behind her without locking it. As the door clicked shut, her mental broadcast went crazy. Was I going to do something super naughty? She was shy but totally ready. Her inner thoughts wildly hoped I might leave some little marks on her neck today. Hearing her secretly wishing for marks, I quickly covered my mouth to hide a massive, goofy grin. Chloe nervously looked around, mentally noting that this space was going to become her very own room soon. She wondered when I would ask her to move in, keeping her actual face completely calm and composed. She ordered me to take off my shirt, secretly hyping up my abs in her head like a fangirl. This is where we leave it today. I quickly pulled my shirt right off. Stick with me here. I took my shirt off, flexing my six-pack. Meanwhile, the outwardly calm Chloe was just absolutely screaming internally. To avoid her loud mental voice, I slipped off my jade pendant. Suddenly, the entire room went totally and completely silent. Was this just a total coincidence? Staring at the glowing pendant in my hand, I slipped it right back on. Still absolutely silent. Chloe noticed immediately. What is wrong? Nothing at all. I shook my head. A coincidence. I pulled the pendant off again and laid flat on my bed. My dad had specifically asked about it today, claiming it was good for us. Honestly, it made me super suspicious. But now was not the time to test theories. While I was thinking, soft, warm hands covered in massage oil gently pressed down right onto my shoulders. I instinctively tensed up. It felt like someone delicately grabbed my neck. Noticing this, Chloe whispered softly. Uncomfortable, relax, my technique is great. I did this for my mom. Her usual cold voice was gone, completely replaced by a warm softness, but I still could not hear her inner thoughts at all. I glanced at the pendant. If it wasn't super awkward, I would have immediately put it back on to test out my theory. Watch closely now. I sighed, relaxing my stiff muscles, and turned to look at Chloe leaning over me. But wow, this angle was extremely problematic. The view was dangerously good. I instinctively wanted to shift, but lying flat made that extremely difficult. Pushing down harder, Chloe leaned in much closer. She was completely focused on the actual massage at first. Her face was totally burning, but her hands stayed steady. Because she was so intensely focused, she completely missed how close she was getting. She was practically kneeling on my bed now. After a brief moment, she gently asked, "Is the pressure okay?" She was currently hoping I'd notice her many hidden talents and fall deeply in love with her. She completely forgot her original plan to seduce me, dedicating her entire soul to being an expert masseuse. But honestly, an unintentional seduction is always the most dangerous kind. My eyes followed her knees resting on the mattress, her pale legs against my dark blue sheets. She totally looked perfectly at home on my bed. "It is absolutely perfect," I grunted. Then she leaned closer. Suddenly, lying flat became incredibly uncomfortable, mostly because something was getting crushed. I desperately tried to shift, but her soft hands glided smoothly down my spine, sending a massive jolt of electricity through me before settling on my lower back. "You sit inside an office all day. Your lower back must be completely stiff, right?" "Actually, my lower back is excellent. What proud man admits his back is bad? Stick with me here." I muttered. It was fine, flipped over, and my lips brushed something firm. The girl leaning over me instantly froze, then shot straight up like a startled cat. Chloe instinctively covered her chest. Her eyes went wide with pure shock, and her face turned explosively red. I was completely dazed, trying to process it. Seeing her wild reaction, I panicked. "Sorry," I awkwardly said. "I was not paying attention at all." Such a terribly flimsy excuse. My own face was burning hot. I immediately sat up abruptly, grabbing a small pillow to hide my lap. Chloe stared down at my lower half, which honestly made me feel 1,000,000 times more mortified. "Sorry, just adult male biology. I did not mean anything. Now watch closely." I kept my eyes locked onto her face because things just got so agonizingly awkward. Chloe was still kneeling there, face completely red, hands covering her chest. She was not totally clueless. She knew exactly what that biological reaction meant. She swallowed hard. A bold thought suddenly flashed through her racing mind. Fortune totally favors the brave. Her long eyelashes rapidly fluttered, and she gently bit her lip. She felt like she was literally burning up, but she looked up, breaking the heavy silence. "We are married now. We said we would try. So physical contact is definitely part of trying, right?" Wait, what? I was way too embarrassed to process her crazy logic. She gave me zero reaction time. Taking a deep breath, she planted her hands on my shoulders and lunged. You and I totally did not see that coming. I instinctively reached out and grabbed her slender waist. Wow, her waist is absolutely tiny, was my first thought. Then her soft lips landed right on the corner of my mouth. Probably just nerves, she completely missed my actual lips, but this amazing girl was so incredibly stubborn. A single second later, she adjusted and her lips crashed directly into mine. Air vanished. Breathing became super difficult. This was actually Chloe's first kiss ever. She realized it was nothing like those books. Her heart was racing fast, and our lips tasted just like honey. She finally understood why kissing ruled. It was not until I gently squeezed her waist that a tiny gasp escaped her lips. Then I felt her trying to push me away. Her soft hand slipped against my skin. I let go of her waist. Finally free, Chloe desperately gasped for air. Her face totally flushed. I chuckled softly. "You little idiot forgot to breathe. Trust me, we are completely hooked. Stick with me here." Chloe was acting tough, claiming she would figure it out after a few tries. "Stick with me here." Her eyes were flushed a deep red, looking totally captivating and incredibly pitiful at the same time. I couldn't handle that intense gaze, so I reached out, covering her eyes. Man, her face felt tiny. With her eyes completely hidden, her flushed, swollen lips stood out even more. "I thought if all you want tonight is a simple kiss, then you seriously need to stop looking at me like that. I am definitely no saint." I sighed, totally helpless, knowing just how highly she actually thought of me. Honestly, a real wave of guilt hit me. If I were 18, I wouldn't hesitate. I'd dive right in and figure the rest out later. But at 28, I really had to weigh the consequences. I needed to give her a way out because her absolute devotion was just too pure. Her long eyelashes gently brushed my palm, then those gorgeous red lips slightly parted. "Liam, I really like you. I have secretly liked you for a really long time, ever since the very first moment we met." Her skin was burning hot. I totally froze. My hand stayed over her eyes, but my hold relaxed. That small physical barrier finally gave her real courage. The shy girl who only panicked in her head was finally saying everything out loud. I might not know how to date since I have literally never tried. My everyday life is totally boring, but you are my only amazing exception. Pay attention here, this is where it gets real. Liam, if I give you everything, I am honestly terrified. I have these bold ideas, but they are just ideas. Liam, could you please take it slow with me? I'm really scared. Her voice visibly trembled. She thought taking that step would feel amazing, but one kiss proved how scary the unknown really is. I gently stroked her soft hair. It is okay. Do not rush. We will take our time. No need to be afraid. Eventually, Chloe got way too embarrassed and her emotional high crashed. Covering her face, she squeaked goodnight and quickly bolted. I felt so frustrated. I could not hear her inner thoughts anymore. Her panicking inner voice during that escape would have been hilarious. It is a real shame. I still have not solved the mystery behind my vanishing mind-reading powers. Once Chloe ran off, that intense romantic vibe totally disappeared. I just sat on the bed feeling the sticky leftover massage oil. Finally, I got up and headed straight back to the shower. Meanwhile, in her room, Chloe instantly regretted running away. She stared at her red, teary eyes and flushed nose in the mirror, gently touching her swollen lips. They honestly still felt like they tasted exactly like him. You are so useless, Chloe. You were already kissing. You were right there. Why did you suddenly chicken out? But remembering Liam's sweet words, a smile crept back onto her face. Hubby is so gentle. Things got a little chaotic and repetitive right around this exact moment. You and I both know how wild this gets. Let us treat this like a crazy flashback montage echoing in my head thinking about these past few chaotic days. Standing in that shower, my mind flashed right back to the absolute absurdity of how this even started. On the way to literally get our divorce, I suddenly realized I could hear my cold wife's inner thoughts. My aloof, emotionally closed-off absolute ice queen of a wife was staring at me with a surface-level look of pure disgust. But inside her head, a completely different, frantic voice was screaming, "Hubby, I really do not want a divorce. What if I say I have a tummy ache right now? Will that even work? Hubby, please do not leave me. A gorgeous girl with fair skin and amazing long legs like me. If someone else picks me up off the streets, they are absolutely never returning me to you." And then I thought about tonight. Chloe wearing that ridiculous combat gear she bought a few days ago suddenly appearing right outside my bedroom door. I wonder if hubby likes this. Why is he not moving? Is he seriously not going to let me inside? My dear heart is basically fading from pure panic. Hubby opened the door. Do you want a wife or not? Your wife is standing right here. Let her inside. I could not hold it back anymore. I chuckled, stepping aside. Are you coming in or do you want to head to your room? The next morning, holding that jade pendant, I realized studying it all night was totally useless. I eventually walked out into the living room. Breakfast was beautifully plated right on the table, but Chloe was nowhere around. She just left a very cute sticky note. Good morning, my dear hubby. I went to campus early. I have no morning classes, but I am simply too embarrassed to see you right now. Looking at her super neat handwriting, I could picture her shy, flushed, yet totally defiant expression perfectly. I happily finished the lovely breakfast my wife made, carefully pocketed her sweet, sticky note, and headed straight to work feeling absolutely fantastic today. At the office, my assistant Leo bought breakfast for me. I do not need it. You eat it. I ate at home. Leo must have still been half asleep. Wow, boss, you work so incredibly hard and still wake up early to cook. I usually thought my assistant was actually pretty sharp. Why did he sound so utterly dumb today? I smiled confidently. I did not wake up early, the boss's wife made it. Now bring me today's schedule. I walked into my office, leaving him feeling aggressively force-fed some couple PDA. Leo just stood there and muttered to himself. The boss's wife woke up early just to cook for you. What kind of absolute modern-day perfect housewife is this? That is where we leave it for now. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. I checked her schedule. Her last class was a massive physics lecture. Stick with me here. After last night's hilarious panic, I honestly worried she might never come home. I quickly checked over my afternoon schedule. I could definitely make it for half her class. Before finishing up, I called Leo over. I'm leaving early. Anything not super urgent can wait until tomorrow. He nodded, and I asked where to grab some nice flowers nearby. Grabbing the address, I headed out, realizing I had exactly enough time to pick up a gorgeous bouquet for her. Watching me walk away, Leo whipped out his phone and wildly opened the main company group chat. Everyone listen up, huge alert. The impossible happened. Our cold boss is totally acting like a guy in love. I literally just hit the underground parking garage and caught that exact message popping up on my locked screen. Seriously, I hit the chat with a super passive-aggressive smiley emoji. Instantly, Leo completely panicked and recalled it. I drove right to the flower shop, grabbed some gorgeous tulips, and headed to Jingchong University. I honestly thought some elective physics class wouldn't draw a huge crowd. It's just physics, right? But man, I totally underestimated my wife's incredible charm. The massive hall was basically overflowing with young guys. I mean, I get it. Having an absolutely stunning young professor is a total magnet, but I really thought pure physics would scare some guys away. Guess I was dead wrong, especially since I arrived during the second half. Literally 0 empty seats. Even the very back row was totally packed. Then I overheard some guys whispering, "Should we leave? Professor Joe is doing Q&A next, and we only get one class weekly. She's always just hiding in her lab." I heard that computer science genius is confessing to her later, a teacher-student romance. Wait, isn't she already married? Now pay attention here. I definitely did not expect to walk right into this absolutely premium gossip about her completely mysterious unseen husband. My wife is insanely popular. I finally grabbed an empty seat right in the middle section and settled in. The bell rang. The loud chatter died instantly. As a tall, elegant silhouette stepped through the doors, absolute silence fell. The woman walking in looked absolutely stunning. Her beautiful face showed 0 emotion, projecting a totally chilling aura. Those hormonal young guys literally could not look away. Watching Professor Joe at that podium, I honestly thought if my professors looked like her, I might have actually loved learning pure physics. Everyone loves a good teacher romance fantasy. Chloe lightly tapped the wooden podium with slender fingers. "All right, class is starting. Quiet down." I was completely mesmerized by her stern look until I heard her thoughts. "Is hubby working overtime? I really just want dinner and sleep with him tonight. I'm totally cool with that too." I literally laughed out loud. Classic Professor Joe logic. Pure business on the outside, totally unhinged on the inside. My laugh caught her attention. She scanned the entire room and completely froze, locking onto me like a tracking laser. "Ah, my giant, amazing husband. When did he even get here? Why didn't anyone tell me? Do I look pretty? Oh no, I never ever look pretty when I'm teaching. What do I do right now? You and I saw this coming, right?" The notoriously strict Professor Zhao suddenly fixated on one specific spot. Her cold expression didn't change at all, but that intimidating aura vanished completely. I just stared right back at her, smiling super slowly. Turns out, without thick walls blocking us, I could hear her panicked inner voice perfectly from here. "Chloe, calm down. It's no big deal. You've seen massive crowds. But before, I always treated these students like cabbages. Now my whole amazing hubby is sitting there." Despite her wild internal panic, she awkwardly shifted her gaze away, voice noticeably softer than usual. "Standard rules. Q&A time. No random pop quiz today. Let's just do Q&A." The students totally cheered, thrilled, avoiding her interrogations. This way, hubby will definitely think I'm super gentle. I'm honestly not that strict anyway. Q&A it is. Just raise hands. I literally just came here to watch her teach. I had 0 intention of causing trouble, especially since I completely sucked at physics. So I leaned back and watched her answer questions like a boss. That guy who spammed the forum confessing to Professor Joe, the absolute computer science god. Yeah, supposedly a genius. Hit college at 16. He's 19 now, already in his 2nd grade school year. Hearing this crazy gossip, I stared at the young guy. He had that super skinny, youthful teenager vibe, but his face held this completely arrogant smirk. Eyes glued right onto my Chloe. From my exact angle, I only caught his side profile. Chloe totally didn't know Chad either. She was just mentally whining inside. "Why isn't this class over yet? I need hubby cuddles right now." Watching this student standing in dead silence, she bluntly asked, "Got a question? If not, please stop wasting your classmates' time. And sit down, kid. Stop keeping me from hubby." But Chad felt super confident. He suddenly blurted out, "Professor Joe, do you have a boyfriend? So what happens next?" The whole class erupted over this wild confession, and Chloe's beautiful face instantly darkened. Like I said, I only answer class-related questions. I thought my public university profile made that absolutely crystal clear. "I am married." She lifted her slender right hand, proudly flashing the sparkling ring right on her finger. "Let us dive right in. You and I know people thought this was a fake excuse to block suitors since nobody had ever actually seen this mystery husband." I watched Chloe closely. Despite her initial shock, she actually stayed remarkably calm. I really wondered how she would react, especially since this bold kid Chad was obviously trying to make a massive public scene. Chad pushed forward confidently. "Professor, what a shame. I don't believe you're married. I just wanted to ask." Chloe shut him right down. "Student, you are disrupting my class. Are you walking out alone, or should I call campus security to drag you out?" She stood up straight, sweeping a fierce, freezing glare across the room. "I don't know exactly why you guys took this class, but while you are here, my rules apply. I only answer strictly academic questions. Everyone's time is precious. Do not waste it satisfying your own personal curiosity." Right as she finished speaking, the dismissal bell rang loudly. The whispering immediately stopped. "Class dismissed," she announced with pure ice. "Will hubby think I'm a massive flirt attracting guys?" Chloe gripped her textbook tightly, keeping her perfect ice queen facade as she walked out. Reaching the door, she sneaked a quick glance back to ensure I followed. Once I stepped right behind her, ignoring the student whispers, her pace instantly became bouncy. Her inner feelings were just so incredibly obvious to read. "Pay attention here. How'd I miss this?" We walked single file, but Chloe deliberately slowed down. "Why isn't hubby walking beside me? Whatever, I'll just walk slower." I immediately sped up, matching her steps. Now we're perfectly side by side. How do I start chatting? Ask about her class? No way, today's lecture was a disaster. So what now? I wish I could Google this. Waiting online. Very urgent. I chuckled and broke the ice. "Hey, Professor Joe." Chloe snapped her head toward me, eyes sparkling. "Ilium, why are you here?" Almost called him hubby. Can I just scream it inside my head? Hubby, hubby, hubby. The hallway was still crowded with students. I noticed almost every single guy passing by couldn't resist staring at Chloe. My wife's insane popularity was truly on another level. "Am I looking old?" I teased. The icy professor image shattered instantly, completely flustered. No, I didn't mean that. I suddenly remembered how hard she worked on that cold persona. I couldn't let it break here. I quickly pivoted. "Where is your office?" I had to save her image. If people learned the Ice Queen was basically a giant softie, more weirdos would flock. I'd be incredibly paranoid at work, worrying about annoying kids confessing to her. Chloe noticed the staring students and instantly composed her expression. We hit the hall's end. I want to hold hubby's hand so badly, but must play the part. Thank goodness I am a mature, emotionally detached professional. Just hold on. Once inside the office, I'll lock the door, pull the blinds, and totally pounce. Yep, that is the master plan. If she actually said that out loud, I'd be absolutely thrilled. Sadly, she was entirely all bark and zero bite. "I know what you're thinking, but wait." Footsteps echoed right behind us. Chad chased us down, screeching Chloe's internal roller coaster to a halt. She spun around, already frowning. Chad stopped in front of us, giving me a strange look before facing a slightly flushed Chloe. "Professor Joe, I needed to talk to you." He glanced at me again. Shouldn't this guy leave? Chad probably assumed I was just some grad student, or maybe just looked older. I understood his silent dismissal, but I refused to move. During class, I stayed quiet out of respect. But now class was officially over. Like hell, I'd just stand by while my beautiful wife got hit on. Even absolute clowns wouldn't accept that nonsense. "Is there a problem here?" Chloe asked coldly. "If it's personal, skip it. I won't answer. If it's strictly academic, leave a message on my university webpage. I check it daily. Hurry up and leave. Stop blocking me from cuddling hubby." My courage is fading. "If you stay longer, I'll chicken out." I smiled, watching her cold profile contrast completely with her frantic thoughts. Chad was stunned. Seeing her pivot to leave, he quickly reached out to grab her wrist. My hand shot out, blocking him before he touched her. "Hey kid, that's incredibly rude. My wife is off the clock. This is personal time." Both Chloe and Chad whipped their heads around to stare at me. Chloe stared totally blankly for a second before a massive wave of smug, pure joy washed right over her face. She literally couldn't stop smiling. Seeing her look so goofy, I pulled her tight. "Stop smiling. You look like a dork. Where's the professor act now?" Chad couldn't believe it. The married excuse was actually real. And this guy was the husband. Chloe chimed in, sounding incredibly smug. "Trust me, this is perfect. My husband and I are eating. Check the website." Meanwhile, her brain, we touched. Stick with me, because you are about to watch the most hilarious mind-reading romance unfold. Her serious professor act totally gone in her head. Hubby, hubby, hubby. She is absolutely spiraling. Her internal logic dictates that since they are calling each other that, locking lips makes perfect sense. She figures touching comes next. Yep, listening to this, our main character suddenly realizes she is definitely not acting innocent. Her face burns red, but her brain is running purely on spicy thoughts. Meanwhile, Chad slinks away completely defeated, just what he wanted. He keeps his arm wrapped tight around Chloe as they walk toward her office. Finally, her mental chatter quiets. She shares this space, but it is completely empty today. She gently pushes the door open. Come inside. He was totally waiting for her bold lock the door and pounce plan. But sadly, Professor Chloe is only brave inside her own wild imagination. Shutting the door without locking it, she looks up with shy eyes. Did you actually just tell that student I am your wife? Is that false? Did I misspeak? He raises his hand up, wiggling his finger to clearly show off their matching wedding band. They had a super weird, unspoken deal. Their marriage was supposedly terrible, but neither of them ever removed their wedding rings. Suddenly, Chloe grabs his hand, slowly intertwining their fingers. She looks up, her pretty face burning red. You did not misspeak. Our rings are gorgeous, right? He is completely stunned by her sudden joy over one sentence, simply nodding back. Yes, beautiful. She smiles. I made this one. Remember when I said I bought rings? I actually crafted them from scratch myself. It took so long to finish. Staring at the ring, our main character is completely speechless. He always believed their relationship was just a quick flash marriage. Met married 3 months later. He assumed the rings were store-bought. They never even posed for photos. He never realized she spent countless hours handcrafting these rings and probably much more. I am so sorry. I had no idea, he whispers. It is fine. I never told you. I know you are busy, you always are. Sometimes I get slightly sad, but only a tiny bit. Hubby looks incredible when working. It would be super nice if he remembered me sometimes, or actually came home for our big wedding anniversary. But it is okay. Good girls get rewards. He is free now, and he actually came to pick me up today. Now pay attention here. Hearing her mentally make excuses for him absolutely shatters his heart. Squeezing her hand tightly, he pulls her firmly into his chest. Instantly, her silent sadness vanishes. He hugged me, hubby hugged me. I love this amazing man even more today. Plus 100 points for hubby. He kisses her forehead softly. You should have told me. I never knew. I thought you preferred keeping a polite distance, even with the rings. She looks up quickly, interrupting him with a very shy, quiet voice. That is past, but if you want to apologize, you can kiss me. I really would not mind. He laughs softly, brushing the hair from her flushed cheek. She looks exactly like a startled deer. As he leans forward, she instinctively leans backward. He wraps a strong arm around her lower back, holding her steady. Why hide? Did you not just say a kiss would earn complete forgiveness? He feels her stiffen as he touches her waist. Then, blushing furiously, her tense body melts completely soft. But wait, the office door is unlocked. What if a random student walks in? Secret office romance. She cannot handle this but reject her hubby. I definitely cannot handle pushing him away. What do I do? Should I close my eyes? Her inner panic is absolutely hilarious. We both know this tension is crazy, right? Her mind is screaming, so he picks the easiest solution. He kisses her. Instantly, the wild mental chatter dies completely. He stares into her shocked eyes for 3 seconds, smoothly moving his hand to cover them. The cute girl obediently tilts her head up, letting him kiss her. He pulls her flush against him, feeling her small hands nervously grip his shirt exactly like a shy kitten too scared to scratch but holding on super tight. If hubby wants an office romance, should I say yes or absolutely yes, finding her shyness adorable? He finally pulls back, leaving soft kisses near her deeply reddened eyes. She looks so incredibly pitiful and cute. Her long eyelashes flutter, finally closing her eyes as she buries her blushing face into his chest. Some things are dangerously addictive once started, like kissing. He stares down at her. The romantic mood is absolutely flawless. Such a shame to ruin the vibe, but he has to say it. Can you seriously stop groping me? Even through the shirt, feeling someone actively touching your abs is super distracting. Oops, completely busted, she thinks. Then, using completely fake confidence, she mumbles straight into his chest. But you grabbed my waist, so I am returning the favor. You love equal exchange, do you not? He laughs hard. They make direct eye contact. She tries looking away, but stubbornly forces herself to stare back, acting super brave. If my eyes stay wide, I will seem confident. The more she acts like this, the more he genuinely wants to tease her. Forget equal exchange, let us discuss why you called me Liam earlier. Her falsely confident balloon immediately deflates flat. I just warning major emergency. My brain has zero working memory left. Hubby is intensely staring at me. I cannot think straight. My brain is solely full of hubby. Finally, she squeezes her eyes completely shut and confesses. I wanted to say hubby, but feared awkward rejection. He laughs and says, just call me hubby from now on. That is where we leave it. Trust me, you and I need more. Let us dive into this. I smiled, super gentle. She totally froze her eyes, snapping right to mine. All that tension vanished, replaced by this massive, uncontrollable smile. Okay, guess being super direct really is the best way for us to talk. We were still awkward, sure, but definitely making progress. I checked the time. Let us ditch the boring boxed lunches and get real food. She grabbed her stuff. As we headed out, I glanced right at her purse. Want me to carry that? Guys usually hold their girlfriends' bags when they go out. She stared at the bag, then me. But it matches my outfit. Then boldly, she linked her arm through mine. It totally does not match you, but whatever, you are my best accessory today. Hubby and I are just the absolute perfect match. Why hold a bag when you can hold me? Her weird possessiveness was incredibly flattering. Wow, her weird logic is totally rubbing off on me. Her thoughts used to seem crazy, but now I actually agree. Am I just getting completely brainwashed? My car was parked outside, meaning a long campus walk. I rarely came here, so I loved the stroll. Seeing my vibe, Chloe asked casually, why did you not study here? I laughed. To escape my folks, obviously. What teenager does not want freedom? My entire family was just packed with intense high-level academic elites. I was the incredibly average black sheep. I hated the idea of research, but you know how parents always try controlling your path. Honestly, my childhood was great. Spoiled by my family, so I never had a massive rebel phase. Still, I hated being micromanaged. Chloe just could not relate. She totally did not understand. Pay attention, this gets deep. I looked over. Dead serious? She said her parents planned everything except marrying me. That was all me. She paused. My mom went abroad with me, quitting her corporate executive job just for me. I knew I mattered, so I obeyed. Man, something felt off. I already knew about her rich past. Super wealthy. Her dad was a bank boss before passing away, leaving behind tons of assets. Her mom was just a housewife. I have met my mother-in-law 3 times, always freezing cold. I honestly thought Chloe completely inherited that icy personality. Does your mom hate me? I wondered if Chloe was just their prized, meticulously crafted little masterpiece. Her mom probably despised me. Just a guy running a tiny startup 2 years ago. We reached the car. I opened her door. Chloe spotted the tulips waiting on the seat, her face totally lighting up. For me, I just nodded. As promised, like them, she smiled until her eyes became cute little crescents. I absolutely love them. I seriously love them. Seeing her pure joy, this whole trip was totally worth it. Suddenly, she leaned up on her tiptoes and kissed my cheek. Liam, I am so happy. I was getting used to these surprise attacks. I touched the spot, teasing her. That is it, I thought you would kiss here. I tapped my lips playfully. She instantly blushed. Later at home, I love cuddling and kissing hubby, so consider this a tiny reward. You guys see this, right? She actually said she would glue herself to me. You are all talk, I thought. I stopped teasing, gestured for her to get in, and asked what she wanted. Zero hesitation this time. Hot pot, let us go. I nodded. There are places nearby. I did not press the question about her mom. Her dodging the topic was answer enough anyway. Sitting there hugging her flowers, she started humming super loudly. I did not even need the radio, completely tone deaf. Suddenly she spoke up. It does not matter if my mom likes you, I am spending my life with you. To her, nobody is good enough. My parents think I am amazing, but what is so great? Literally all I know how to do is study. You survived the real world. I just hide in my tower. I frowned. You do incredible research. Do not put yourself down. You are incredibly capable. I understood nothing from your lecture today. She laughed, totally different. You make a living with your own hands. What do I even have? If I hit my head and lose my brain, I am nothing. I heard deep insecurity in her voice. So bizarre. How could a brilliant, privileged prodigy have such incredibly low self-esteem? Your contribution to society is undeniable, I declared. Earning money is great, but your knowledge is part of you. You cannot just separate yourself from your pure intelligence. How can someone as amazing as you feel empty? I mentally kicked myself for ignoring her perspective, then locked eyes with her. You are incredible. Anyone else hearing that would assume you are humble bragging. Chloe laughed. I am not. Compared to you, all I can do is study. I literally cannot do anything else. Trust me, this hits home. You care for yourself and teach others. That is amazing. Do not put us in different categories." Her voice got super quiet. She wanted us to be a real team. I thought fast, telling her she was our family's superstar. I said she always takes care of me. Instantly, her face lit up. That frown completely disappeared. She was honestly so easy to cheer up. One single sentence completely fixed her mood. Through the entire hot pot dinner, she was glowing. Maybe my comment about her taking care of me flipped a switch because she practically spoon-fed me the entire meal. You see where this is going, right? I excitedly played right along with her caretaker vibe. I finally understood. Chloe was basically just a big kid at heart. When she said she struggled with people, she was being completely serious. But that pure, unfiltered honesty made her incredibly sweet. She thought I loved the cold genius type and forced herself into that role for 2 long years. Anyone else would have just tested the waters or simply asked me first. So what do you and I make of this? She was so sheltered, never tricked before. And now she is entirely mine.